It's knick-knack, patty-mack, and swallow wicked Wonka. We bout to bust through your block like a Tonka. Rip out your tonsils and feed 'em to your mama. Bust your badonka. Bang, pow, boom, it's bonkers. We're all juggalos now. We're all juggalos now on the Make It Stop podcast. Just wanted you all to know. Much clown love.
Whoop, whoop.
Whoop, whoop. I'm a convert. Not quite, but I was considering asking Squallie, our guest today, to bring the face paint, which I guess I'm gonna, since I just said his name, I'm gonna introduce him. Well, as you might have guessed from that brief little intro there, we are going to be discussing a legendary band in sort of bad music like history. I mean, like a cultural phenomenon, regardless of how you interpret it.
Some of the better known bad music that's ever been made.
Yes. Right.
And for this
multi-platinum artists, many gold records, have a huge, massive following, and are also widely derided for many reasons that we will get into. But we thought that because we're going to be talking about ICP's classic album, Bang, Pow, Boom, the album in which they discuss the miracles of magnets and dirt and the world being, round, kind of. I don't even know.
A pelican stealing your cell phone.
Yep.
Anyway, because of that,
we thought it would be only right of us to actually invite a real life, authentic, in the flesh Juggalo on the show to, give us a perspective that we might not have gotten. It's easy from an outsider, from an outside vantage point to mock and taunt, and actually probably from an insider's vantage point too. But we wanted to give a voice to the Juggalos out there.
It wouldn't be fair to do an ICP episode without talking to someone who really knows ICP.
Who really knows ICP.
So we got our friend here. He's a rapper. He's a musician, a longtime Juggalo, and apparently Tinder famous. Squallie Greenthumb.
Hey, what's up?
Yeah. So, what makes you Tinder famous?
So back over the summer, I had always been fascinated by Tinder and because as a dating platform, because it's the least work you put into it, and so I decided to set up a profile, and I saw that everybody, on any dating website, it's always they list the things that you're supposed to like about them, that's supposed to get the most people,
right.
Oh, I'm outgoing, I'm adventurous, I love the outdoors. So I decided to make a Tinder profile based on all the things about me that my friends and people I've dated have said, I love you in spite of this. So my profile picture was me with my face painted like Shaggy Two Dope, and dressed in a smoker's jacket with a cigarette holder and everything, and the whole thing listed, and it was. I listed off all the things about me that people are oh, I love you, but about 2 days after I put it up, my friend messages me and he's like, dude, your Tinder profile's on Tumblr, and it got 20,000 reblogs. And so the listing actually was Juggalo, smoker, otaku, pothead, doesn't leave his house much, lives with his mom,
Wow. Did you get?
Did it work? Did you get any messages?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. If you had 20,000 reblogs, I mean.
Well, the thing with Tinder is you can't really search for people. it's just something you kind of come across.
Yeah.
And so I got a lot of people who would who would match with me, and they'd super like me to so they could open up the pathways and be like. All I got really was. Is this really you? Is this the you from the internet?
So it seems like a very missed opportunity for there to not be a Juggalo dating site that exists on the internet.
People have attempted.
Oh,
there have been attempts either at dating sites, or a lot of Juggalo message boards will have a love section where you can find some Juggalove, some much clown love.
Some much clown love. So when you're in a Juggalo relationship, does the love between Juggalos can that supersede the love for Shaggy Two Dope and Violent J? Is there
absolutely not.
Okay. So we're all clear.
So how did you?
Yes.
What set you on this path,
Yes,
Squallie?
please let us know.
To be a juggalo.
Yeah.
So it was 1997. I was watching MTV before school, as I did every day, because it was the 90s.
Right.
And all of a sudden there's this MTV news brief, and Kurt Loder comes on. He's like, Detroit duo, the Insane Clown Posse, got their records pulled today.
Oh, because of the
Southern Baptists. Yeah.
Yes.
So Southern Baptists were boycotting the Disney Corporation, and they decided to like have this
because
big
they
protest
supported
that day.
like Ellen, the like TV show Ellen, and that they had a gay day at Disneyland. And this is that was the label that ICP was signed to for the Great Malenko, right?
So they were signed to Hollywood Records for the Great Malenko, which is owned by Disney.
Oh.
Hell yeah. And so when that whole thing happened, it happened the day that their album was released, and Disney was like, we have to hide everything horrible we've ever done. And then it's like, well, this album just came out, let's pull it from stores before people can buy it. But obviously,
how old were you at that time in 1997?
I was 12 to 13.
Yes. So anything that's going to be banned or taking off the shelves is automatically endlessly cooler to a 12 or 13-year-old kid. Yeah.
But then like, what got me more was they went and interviewed ICP. And so here's this video of these two guys painted up, and they had dreadlocks, which was cool for white people to have in the 90s.
It wasn't, but...
It wasn't, but it was.
It was.
I was already into nu metal, so it was like...
It's not cool in hindsight, but it was like...
It was a thing.
It was a thing,
But then...
Monkey from Korn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're standing in this alleyway, and they have these faces painted, and they're wearing, like... hockey jerseys with their album cover on it, and they're cutting a wrestling promo on Disney. and that just instantly, like, I loved wrestling. I loved and I had just recently discovered that Kiss wasn't as evil as they look. They were just, it was all these love songs, and I was very disappointed by that. And I'm like, here's these guys that are painted up, and they played like clips from their songs, and there was all this like,
I mean, Homies, that's a jam.
You know, there's a lot to say about this album, but one thing that I really picked up on Bang Boom Pow?
Bang
Pow Boom.
Yeah.
Is that they got a great ear for hooks, these guys. Their hooks are on point.
So, okay. So we sense the appeal. So now the real question is then, Squallie, you are no longer 12 or 13, but as far as I'm aware, because we're Facebook friends, you went to the gathering of the Juggalos as recently as like last year.
Did not go to the gathering.
Oh, you didn't go to the gathering.
I did not go to the gathering because I cannot sleep on the ground.
Oh.
But I did go to, they have multiple events throughout the year. I went to Juggalo Weekend last year, and I also went to Detroit for their Halloween show.
Oh, okay. So that's what I saw. Yeah. So you still consider yourself to this day like a proud Juggalo, correct?
Yeah.
So why? How has this managed to endure all this time from that first initial MTV introduction?
So when I looked into them, and I looked deep into them, back in a time where the internet did exist, but there wasn't a lot of information on things, but there was a lot of information about ICP. There was a lot of Angel Fire fan sites and all that shit. And so I looked into them, and I discovered something that I hadn't seen in any other music before, especially not hip-hop, where there was... a lot of people have concept albums. They had a concept career.
Yes.
And they had... So, like, they had this whole backstory where they were, like... Where, they were poor kids from Detroit, and then, like, the governor's children, like, threw them into toxic waste plant, which there are a lot of in Detroit, and they came out the Wicked Clowns, and they went around, like, a lot of their music, like, people like Bugs on My Nuts, and like and a lot of their funnier songs are what people tend to like focus on, but they had a lot of songs about about murdering what they thought were the true wicked people of the world, which was the government. The government, because they're from Detroit, and downtown Detroit looks like downtown Boston. The rest of like Michigan that I saw is scary. It's like and that's the thing too. They painted this very vivid picture of how like terrifying it is out there.
Well, they turned like kind of this like horrorcore like imagery, and they used that as like an allegory for like oppression, like class oppression in particular. Now they're not using necessarily the like intentional language around it, but what they did was create a story. You're right. That was consistent.
This album, the one thing I'll give this album credit for is this is actually, even though I don't like it, and probably part of the reason why I don't like it, it is very much like Fisher Price, my first ICP album.
Yes, yeah.
It gives you the vast array of everything that they kind of talked about in much longer detail across 7 albums.
And it's kind of like whiplashy, like from one song to another. It's like, oh, we're gonna go from talking about boing boing hose on my dick to like
I found a body.
Fight. I caught a predator. You know what I mean? So okay, which is your favorite ICP album of all time?
It's my favorite. I have a favorite EP and I have a favorite LP.
Okay.
My favorite EP is Beverly Kills 50187. It's amazing. It's fucking incredible, and it came out right after Carnival of Carnage. It was only their second release. And then my favorite like Joker's Card LP is hands down Riddlebox. Yeah, and if you ask most Juggalos, they'll tell you the same thing.
What are the biggest misconceptions out there about ICP or about Juggalos?
I think the biggest misconception about Juggalos is a lot of people view Juggalos as the people that ICP speaks out against.
And a lot of the people, I'm assuming that, like, again, maybe this is a misconception, but a lot of the people, okay, so I've done, I had done a little of my own research way before this, and mostly because, we would watch, like, we watched a documentary on the gathering of the Juggalos.
Yeah, it was American Juggalo.
American Juggalo, and it was bad. It was bad news, and I was
I loved it.
I mean, it was hilarious. Oh, it was hilarious, but it looked like
it looked like fun.
Yeah.
It looked like a fucking mess. It looked like it did
Maybe
not
you
look.
Had different experiences.
I'm sorry, like the bobbing for hot dogs, fucking like. No.
What? That looked fun.
It was there was a lot of very significant degrading behavior in terms of the ways that people were treating women at that, for sure. And that would be what I would argue would be the great Malenko's blind spot in general here.
True.
Is that an ongoing, pretty significant one.
I was going to ask, if we could talk a little bit more about the mythology here, because that's what kind of fascinates me about ICP, and I think that's a big part of the appeal. So, like, they have these albums that are the Joker cards, and they have other albums that aren't the Joker cards.
Yes.
And there's a set number of Joker cards. I think the last one still hasn't come out yet, right?
No. So this goes into another reason why I don't like this record. So they originally had 6 Joker cards.
Yeah.
They ended up doing 7 albums. They did 2 albums for the last one, which I will add they did before like the Harry Potter movies did that.
Yeah.
And shit. So I'm like, hey, Harry Potter, where's their fucking check? But
Harry Potter, pay up. J.K. Rowling.
It's on record.
We're not J.K. Rowling.
No. Harry Potter. #Harry Potter swagger jacking ICP.
but so they had this, and it wasn't the most cohesive story, but it was a story. It was like it was this it was not very real at all type of like religion thing. Where it was every Joker's card. So like the Carnival of Carnage is.
It seems to be pretty fucking Christian. Like it does. It definitely does.
It's
my dude. That was one of my questions.
That's something a lot of people have been saying.
But they themselves said it, and then they went back on it. But it seems very clear.
They've never been Christian though. Christian implies Jesus Christ.
No, they said we believe in Jesus or we believe in God.
But they also like trashed like priests on a couple songs.
Yeah, no, it's true. They didn't call themselves like evangelical Christians or anything like that. But like allegorically, the storylines and the like very clear black and white, good and evil, Shangri-La versus where like the Bang Pow Boom,
the Dark Carnival.
I mean, come on, that's a Christian allegory, or it's like a very religious, very.
It is religious, but that's the thing where I have a problem with that is when people like call them Christian or say that they love Jesus, because that paints a picture that they have this actual like they hid like Jesus into it. They didn't. Violent J talks about this a lot in his book, and he's like he talks about he's more like a agnostic than anything. But they
but Miracles
and Miracles is a whole nother fucking
I can't wait.
We gotta wait till we get to that song.
So is there anything else? So let's talk a little bit about this album. So this came out in 2010.
Yeah.
2009.
Miracles is on this album, and Miracles became the biggest meme of 2009.
Absolutely.
The SNL did the parody of it. It was the talk of the town. I laughed for years. And, I'm
still laughing.
We had already known about ICP, but I feel like this is where ICP kind of came back into the public consciousness after the late 90s, which was the last time I think they were, known in
fairly
the mainstream.
relevant. They did Woodstock 99.
They did,
they used to play them on WBCN.
They were in WWF.
Yeah. So they did have a lot more mainstream eyes on them at that point.
So this is what got them back. The public's noticed them again, and they kind of became a laughing stock.
Yeah, but then they turned it into something that they were laughing along with.
Yeah.
And that's what, kind of offered a different perspective of ICP. And where I think that ICP and Eminem diverge most directly is like Eminem cannot laugh at himself.
Eminem... Nope. This album is such a stark contrast to that Eminem album we did in the last episode. This is... I'll get into it more.
It's a lot... I was so surprised, Mike. We both had these like messages back and forth. We were like, "Holy shit! Like, am I a Juggalo now?" Because like I don't hate all of this, and in fact, I was expecting to come into this and just rip it to shreds. And there's a lot of genuine, wholesome, entertainment.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
I knew that was going to happen. Because so I make a habit of it to take my non-Juggalo friends, which I mostly have non-Juggalo friends. I do not actually hang out with a lot of Juggalos. I have some that I'm very close to, but like I like being around people who have different ideas, different tastes in music and stuff. So I can be more well-rounded person than just a Juggalo. I am one, but I'm not that's far from everything I am. But I bring non-Juggalo friends to Juggalo shows. And with the exception of this past month, I took my girlfriend and she fucking hated it. Everybody else I've taken has been like, still not my thing, but holy shit, that was fun.
That was fun.
It was fun. They're like, it's like Gwar, but hip hop. And I'm like, yep.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. There's definitely some parallels to be seen there.
But I even think they're doing something that no one else is doing too. Or they were until there was all the other Psychopathic Records acts that are kind of branching off from them. But what they started here is like completely their own thing.
Yep.
Which is neat.
Yeah.
But
they by no means invented horrorcore music.
No.
But they are. I often refer to them as the Blink-182 of horrorcore because they're everybody's entryway. They're like the gateway drug to it, and then it's also like actual horrorcore acts do not have the morality there at all. It's the most immoral shit. It's a completely different thing. They built a world. They built a world both on their records, and they built a world for their fans. Yeah, and it's a world that I love to visit. Yeah. And I think that's more than anything what has kept me a Juggalo, because even though their newer records are no longer following the original story and kayfabe is dead, like I know everything about them. Yeah. It's still like, and not even in a nostalgic way, it's like a good book to reread or like a movie that you loved, and just like it's still so good after all these years. Yeah. At least to you.
So should we get into it?
I think we should get into it. So this is the first, we're going to do 2 songs at a time. We're going to hear the first song off the album, besides the intro, which we're skipping, is The Clowns Are Back, and then we're going to hear In Yo Face.
And if you like it wicked, this circus ain't like any.
Back to the freak show, house some years. Maze of amazement, gone for years. Back to the dope tank, guess your size. Back to the serpent, ladies' lies. Tigers let loose into the crowd. All appalling, all so proud. Forward to the carnies, gypsies and bums. I spit my raps in tongues over voodoo drums. Bitch, wicked shit this way comes. In your face, for you. Something special for you. We got you covered, homie. Something exclusive for you.
Yes. so that was In Your Face and The Clowns Are Back. Similar stylistically. Mm-hmm. Pretty like hype songs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's like going back to what you said about ICP being good at their hooks. They're always also good at having the two hypest tracks at the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it really like it gets a hook in you, like real bad.
Absolutely. I couldn't believe how much I liked these songs. Like I just assumed that I didn't like ICP, you know?
I mean, it's not smart.
No.
Wicked, wicked clowns, bitch, is a line from The Clowns Are Back. But, you know, in your face. I mean, how can you not yell along to that?
Yeah. And this circus ain't like Andy is a clever line. And I don't know, but literally, seriously though, it's like after Northern State, after listening to all the shit that we have on this show, like maybe I'd just been desensitized.
In terms of white
but
rappers.
It's like it's so much more competent than Northern State. There are
a few songs on here where I was like, oh, that's a Northern State kind of rhyme for sure.
There's definitely some bad rhymes, but the way they ride the beat,
clownery.
I think the way they ride the beat, their flow is like they got like an Ice Cube Predator thing going on some tracks.
That's true. Well, yeah, exactly. And also, like, thinking about it just in their storyline, in these, like, archetypes, when you call yourself a clown, it's literally, like, it's taking away the biggest insult that someone can tell you in hip-hop.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, you're a fucking clown, you know what I mean? And they took that and turned it into, like, a badge of their entire identity is, like, this badge of... You know, like, that shit is fucking... You gotta give them some credit for that. I mean, it's stupid. I mean, listen, I shook the hand of Satan with the cross in my palm, burnt all the flesh all the way up his arm.
Yeah.
I wasn't scared. I was giddy to do it. Oh, and then, so is that some, that's some Christian shit. Let's just say that's clearly some Christian shit.
They are burning Satan with a cross.
With a cross. Also, followed by, I was, like, let's not give them too much credit because I was fucking the slut up in her dirty ass, threw the rubber out the window as we drove past. Funny thing, I ain't seen you standing on the grass and it fucking stuck to your mustache. My comments were cool.
It's kind of funny though.
Yeah, but you go from like a Jesus handshake to
like I feel like if you're saying like it is misogynistic, but it's also like
it's so stupid and like obviously cartoonish that you can distance yourself from. I feel like I can.
Yeah,
it's
and he's saying like he's fucking her in her.
That's something that they do very, very well.
And he's saying he's fucking her in her dirty ass. It's not like he's not trying to be like sexy or cool about it.
Yeah,
you know?
that is definitely an ongoing theme in here where I'm like looking at it and I'm like, oh, you know, I mean, is it still misogynistic? Yes, but is it also like kind of like making fun of themselves and being like, we're ugly and a mess? So like, but still degrading women at the same time. So so in 2010, I wrote this down because of this, you know, reference to Christianity was in 2010 in a hugely publicized and highly controversial announcement, ICP revealed that they have always been Christians. In an interview with The Guardian, Violent J explained, quote, you have to speak their language, you have to interest them, gain their trust, talk to them, and show that you're one of them. You're a person from the street and you speak of your experiences. Then at the end you can tell them, God has helped me, end quote. How do you respond to that?
I'm going to be 100% honest. I don't think Violent J's that eloquent. I've spoken to the man.
Have you? You've met Violent J?
I've met ICP multiple times.
Oh my god.
And they are honestly...
What do they smell like in person? Beef jerky?
No, cologne. Violent J is all about the Coogee these days, so he's got the Coogee cologne, Coogee shirts, like it's his thing. But nice. Literally, like they are some of the, you know, the best. You know, people say don't meet your heroes. Like fuck that. If ICP's your hero, meet ICP because they're great people. Nice. And but like just not smart, man. Like there's and it's a thing like you know harkening back to their whole like mythology and storyline. I've had people like I've explained that to people and they're like, oh yeah, something wicked this way comes. I'm like, you think they read that fucking book? Like I'm not saying that you know they didn't have an idea that somebody else had, but I'm telling you right now they did not rip it off because they were not aware of it.
Yeah, I mean, what's so funny about this is that it's like so you're right. It's pretty obvious. This is not like some deep ass shit, but yet they're still genius annotations for these lyrics, which are fascinating. There was one about this song that was, if you ain't down with that, fuck off. I like getting my dick sucked, jacked off, and salad tossed. Ugly hoes, fine hoes, none go to waste. But for you, herpy meth head anus. And
in your face.
In your face. And then that was, so that was a reference to, apparently, violent, this was a genius annotation. Violent J is down to hook it up with any woman. But with that being said, he makes it clear that he'll pass on the woman who is a methamphetamine user who has herpes sores in her anus. Like, somebody went out and did that shit.
Thank you for breaking it down like that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and then
that's the spark notes that you need.
The fucking jugga-splaining.
Also, there was a reference to another famous ICP lyric. So I guess this is how they're empowering to women, because they'll fuck all of them. Is ain't no bitch too fat, ain't no bitch too whack, ain't no bitch too ugly.
For Super Balls. Yeah.
Well.
So
that's something.
I feel empowered. That's
for
sure.
No, absolutely. I mean, I will say, I don't think it was their intention to empower anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then you go ahead and you do say that they were. Yeah. Well, they're all about. Come on.
No.
They are about this, like you know, like
they're about
we're a family
the
and we support each other.
Class, right? Like,
working class, like mostly white folks that like grew up in like kind of disinvested, like crumbling mill towns and coal towns. And
but I think when they speak on the fact that they will fornicate with a woman of any size or level of attractiveness, they're more saying like, we're available. Like, like that's honestly how I've always felt, because throughout their entire music career, they've rapped about having sex with like overweight women, ugly women, whatever. And I honestly think it's just like, hey, you know, doesn't matter. Any groupie's a groupie. We're available. What's up? Like, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess, and even except. They do draw the line at herpy meth head anuses. Ain't I?
I mean, you know, everybody's got a breaking point.
Oh, jeez. All right.
Go to the next song?
Yeah, so we're going to go to the next two. This is The Bone and The Zombie Slide.
I busted out through the front doors and I booked down the block. The neighbors joined the chase, someone shooting the Glock. The mailman tried to stop me, but I picked up a rock. He got the bone. Police screech around the corners with their red and blue lights. I threw some fucking nerdy off his 10-speed bike, but the kid was an athlete and he wanted to fight. He got the bone. Foot float right about the graveyard. In the street, crab walking way hard. Car stop, what the fuck is going on? Dead bodies dancing on the lawn. Do the sprinkler, do the Superman. Get stupid, that's the plan. Get up, jump with the boom. Zombie slide about you too. Can you fuck it up like us? Can you freak the moves that we bust?
Can you freak the moves that we bust?
That's so fun. That song's about zombies dancing. That's like all it's about. It's about dead folks dancing.
It's really funny.
And then the Bone, he's over a surf rock beat, just talking about running through town, killing different people.
I know.
It's fun. It's like it's like listening. It's like an audio version of like a Chucky movie. You know,
yes.
They actually have a song that is very much based on Chucky, and it's great.
Yeah, I would say The Bone is definitely like that. The Zombie Slide is like a super catchy, like Mary-Kate and Ashley fucking sleepover sing along. Like, I am sorry, like that shit is adorable. Like that is a 90s arcade game jam. Like that is like it's not smart by any means, but it is fun as fuck. Freak the moves that we bust. Like that's as cheesy as the ass cracks at the gathering of the Juggalos.
They don't.
I had a note in here for Zombie Slide. At this point, it's basically a children's album.
Yes. Yeah, and so when you're saying it's Fisher Price baby's first Juggalo album, no, it's Fisher Price for anybody. Like, I'm sorry.
It was giving me the same vibes as, I don't know if you stoppies listen to this, but we did a podcast called Jukebox Zeros.
Oh, yes.
And we reviewed an album on that podcast podcast by Hulk Hogan called Hulk Rules, and this was giving me the same feeling as like Hulk Rules.
And that's actually what I was saying. I was like, I guess they're the best wrestler / musicians that I know of. Like, I mean, they're no Fozzy, but
oh fuck, Fozzy.
Like seriously, if we think of Hulk Hogan, we're gonna do we gotta do the Macho Man Randy Savage at some point. You know, at least we can give that to ICP.
Mm-hmm.
They definitely are. They good wrestlers too?
It depends.
Yeah, so
depends on the. Well, Shaggy's always good.
Yeah.
Violent J's weight fluctuates between like 400 pounds and 190, so it's like sometimes it's rough. But like. Back to the, you know, like Fisher Price first ICP album. Mm-hmm. So a lot of songs on this record, on top of like a lot of, you know, the same ideas and like moralities like being repeated on this, a lot of the songs on this album are just like worse versions of like fucking ICP fan favorite songs. It's like they were trying to recreate the magic that those songs had.
Okay.
So I wanted to like bring those up whenever we got to songs. So Zombie Slide, there's a much better version of it called Headless Boogie. From Riddlebox, and it is fucking amazing. Like nobody.
This is so great.
Like,
Wait, could it get any better than Freak the Moves that we bust? I think fucking not. I'm sorry. Like, I call bullshit on that.
Okay, all right.
There's
fine.
no better.
Okay.
Was there a more iconic line? I'll wait.
You know what, Heather? You're right.
To catch a Juggalo.
Nobody.
I got him.
The moves
that we bust. The bone.
Yeah.
That almost, you said it was surf rock. I was kind of giving, it almost sounded like the Offspring at certain points.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And I can see why these like macho, like white boy fantasies of like slaughtering your way through all of life's obstacles are like really compelling if you're like, especially if you're a kid who gets like picked on or like, you know, is marginalized and, you know, like class background or like education and stuff like that. It's wicked juvenile and like overtly violent and a cheesy cartoonish way, but like also again so is wrestling and so is like
it's dumb fun. It's
like,
horror comedy.
At least it's fucking
exactly
fun.
It's horror comedy. It's, you know, there's
guys, I don't know what's happened to me, but like
this has become like, and I again, like I said, I knew you guys were gonna start liking it, and even this album even grew on me over the past week, and the thing is, I was like, this is gonna be their most boring podcast ever, because all the other ones you guys like get like visceral, just like fucking tear into like, oh my god, Eminem, why?
I know,
and then like this,
you've
just
heard.
Like, and then this is just like. Yeah, I mean, so, like, what's the thing about, like, what is it? His dick is in your hot dog bun? What's that about? And I'm just going to be like, that's just ICP. I don't know what to tell you. And that's, like, what this...
Well, I think if they're just it's competent. Like the beats are good too. The beats are like
so. Their Halloween show this year was in an old fucking warehouse that like had been condemned like 3 months before they reopened it for this show.
Wait, this actually sounds cool.
It was amazing, and they had one room that had a wrestling ring in it, and there was hardcore wrestling in there, and then there was like a horror movie room, and then there was like.
Are we juggalos?
You're juggalos. You're fucking juggalos now.
Sounds dope to me.
Can you too dope? I might say.
It sounds too dope.
And then they had the room with the stage, and like Isham comes out. I wish you
brought your fucking face paint. Go on.
So Isham comes out, and he just like, you know, every other group was, you know, was like ICP had like face paint and tried to do theatric shit. Isham just walked back and forth across the stage and just like kind of glared at the crowd and just like rapped these like the most evil gangster rap you've ever heard in your life. Insane. And I'm sitting there, and my edibles had just kicked in, and I'm just watching him, and I'm like, oh my fucking god, I'm gonna die tonight. Like, which to be fair, it was Halloween. It was East. No, Devil's Night is the day before.
Okay, yeah.
So we're in the east side of Detroit in an abandoned warehouse, like. You know, it very well could have fucking ended that night.
I don't even know what to say.
You know, I've been in punk bands and played a lot of punk shows for many, many years.
Yeah.
And I've had many
Swagger and Growlers, old Edison.
I was not in the Swagger and Growlers.
Never mind.
I was
old Edison.
There was one day that I was in the Swagger and Growlers, and it was when they did Extravaganza when you booked them.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
And I was like, I'm the only fucking pothead you guys know. I have to be on stage for this. But yeah, I was in a band called Faulty Conscience and
Faulty
the Old
Conscience.
Edison.
Yep.
And many a drunken punk has pulled me aside and been like, look, man, all of us like pretend we don't give a fuck, but like you like really don't give a fuck. And I'm like, yeah, it's called being a juggalo. Like it was just
it's been under our nose this whole time. All right, but lest we get too like comfortable here in our new Juggalo identity, it's time for us to hear some more songs, and these two could not be kind of more disparate from what we've heard and even from each other. So let's listen to this one. These two. This is To Catch a Predator and Boing Boing. Yikes.
To this term like I'm only in the 7th grade. The doorbell rings, I gotta get him inside. In my best little girl's voice, I'm like, hey!
Come on in, I'm putting on my bikini.
And when the door shuts, that's when I let him see me. Hi there. I stab him in the neck first, cause it hurts. Hit him when a blood squirts. Carve his whole face off and make him eat it. Chain him up by the foot in the basement. Bleed out. I'm probably gonna burn for this. Ain't no lesson to learn from this. There's nothing I'ma earn but a shirt. That's what the lady at the stove said. Chick up at Walgreens offering head. I'm like, whoa, and I'm getting free food up at Subway. Every bitch and her mama love Jay. I can't help but string these hoes, and they all wanna fuck me. They love tell me. I can't help but string these hoes, and they all wanna fuck me.
So that's that whiplash I was talking about earlier, because what the fuck?
The lyrics are yucky, but at least he's still like being silly about it and talking about.
He says dick hole platter.
He says that he fucks.
He says dick hole platter.
I don't know if there's a Rap Genius thing for that, but it would be his jism.
He says
dick hole platter is a drink.
He fucks so good he gets free sandwiches from Subway.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, it's misogynistic and unnecessary. Like, I don't know. It's still.
He also reps getting poop stained panties thrown at him. Mm-hmm. So, again, there's that like misogyny with a slice of just like self, like I don't know, masochism or like whatever, like, you know, making fun of how desperate and like pathetic he kind of is.
Yeah.
But like not quite.
No, I mean at this point in his career, he has had a lot more sex than he hasn't, and it was kind of an evolving thing where it went from like he was led to believe growing up that he was the ugliest kid in the fucking world, and then he started being a rapper and he started getting laid a lot, and then now it's like again there's been more of his life where he has been able to like bang strippers every night, and now he's like, yeah, I mean, I guess I'm still an ugly kid, but look at all this shit, and it's just like, and
look at my poop stained panties.
So he's like, so yeah, he's lost like the self-deprecating
humor. I go to Walgreens. What?
Does the self-deprecation effectively counter the misogyny?
No. Nope.
I think it does. I think it does more than Eminem, though.
Well, because Eminem doesn't do that. Eminem does do that. Like if you think about like early Eminem, I mean they have a lot in common.
Yeah, it's true.
Well, it's
probably
very
why
much...
they beef so much. Actually, I found out. So again, this is from the Walgreens.
The Walgreens.
The Walgreens. I was almost.
I was up in the Walgreens.
The Wikipedia article about how Eminem and ICP's beef started, and I'm sure this was like edited by a Juggalo, so who knows if this is really true. But apparently, it was that Eminem was going around and promoting his album release, probably for Infinite, and he was going around to parties, and it had like it was like featuring like Isham, Eminem and ICP in parentheses maybe ? And he like handed it out to like a couple of the members of ICP, and they like looked at it and they were like, what the fuck, why are you advertising us when we haven't agreed to do it? And he was like, no, it says maybe, like obviously, like I'm just do you guys want to do it? Like, and they were like, well, we would have, but like, fuck you.
Yeah.
And that, but I don't know if that's really what happened.
That's the story.
That's the story.
And Eminem has never denied that. Even like in all of his disses and in all the interviews he's done about it, he's never denied it. Personally, I've dealt with like shitty promoters who have done things where they're like, this person might show up, so like I don't completely doubt it, but what really started it was like it was either on Infinite or on the Slim Shady EP. He like had a song where he says "Fuck ICP, buy my CD."
Yeah,
and then that's
and
what
then
like
they
really
did
started.
Slim Anus.
They did Slim Anus, yes, they did.
I remember Slim Anus.
Yep.
Well, I just remember Slim Anus. You're damn right, Slim Anus.
Yeah.
And then some other things that I won't repeat.
Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, it was basically a song of them just.
They don't use the F word slur anywhere on this album. I'm talking about.
They did back then, though.
I'm sure, yeah.
I mean,
Violent J has very much said, he's like, fucking, I grew up speaking in such a homophobic way. I'm trying to get rid of it. Like he's like I'm very much. It just sometimes it comes out, and like he's an old ass man at this point. And I'm not saying that makes it okay when he does say it, but it's just like he's been working on it for a very long time because he is well aware that like there are a lot of like LGBT like juggalos.
Yeah, well, I wonder if that's even.
They're trying to do some good. I mean, they had the song before this one was about
to catch a predator,
killing pedophiles,
and that actually introduced this like whole motif that goes throughout the album of like singling out these like evil like like they
pedophiles and abusers and telling them they've won $100,000
and that they're gonna
have to go to Ash, Nevada.
Yeah.
To the Dark Carnival.
Yeah.
And we'll get to that.
We will.
Yeah, like I was like, these guys, I guess they fight everything with like fantasy murders, but then again, like
they're fighting the right things.
Pedophiles with fantasy
They're fighting
murder
the right things with. They're punching
up
with their fantasy murders for the most part. I mean, there's a song coming up.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
But it seems like they have better acclimated to the current political climate than Eminem has.
Yeah,
Eminem is.
And the thing is, they don't pay attention. They don't because they just listen.
Because how many ICP like listener or like how many juggalos voted for Trump? Do you think?
I honestly don't know.
If you were gonna just guess,
so
a percentage.
There's definitely a percentage, but when I went to Juggalo Weekend, which was in February of last year, the MC of the night was up on stage, and there was a Trump or GOP rally somewhere else in like that area of Florida that night, and he was like, you know how I know y'all are real juggalos? Because you're not at that fucking Trump rally. And everybody was like, woo! And I was like, okay, we're in Florida, so that's a good thing because a lot of the votes came from Florida and whatnot. And for the most part, every juggalo I've met or know is actually more of a Bernie supporter. In fact, I thought it was hilarious because I saw both sides being painted as such during the primaries, because there is a picture of two juggalos standing there wearing MAGA hats, but there's also a picture of a woman with a Hatchet Man tattoo breastfeeding at a Bernie rally, and just like both things, it was like, do you really want to vote on the side of juggalos? And I'm like, yeah, because we're all the fucking same person, like
right. All right, should we move on to the next two here? Again, another kind of whiplash type of situation. We have I Found a Body, followed by Love.
Target, I pushed him in the curtain. People stopped and stared. They thought he was retarded. I put him in some shades and sprayed him down with X. We rented a movie, just chilled and relaxed. Offended, but I know true love and she's pretending. She ran outside to the parking lot, but I was on that ass, she was fucking hot. I spun her around and I licked her face. She screamed, hit me with a can of mace. Some guy out of nowhere knocked me out, as if I don't know what love's about. I'm telling you, girl, I'm watching you. I'm telling you.
All right, this is where I soured on the album a little bit here.
Yeah.
So it seemed to me prior to this point that it was like, I don't know, they were killing the right people, but this song's just about stalking women
who are just going about their daily
and like
lives,
trying to kiss them.
Yeah, this is a very strange song for me because not that this isn't like something that's come up before. Like I said before, there's like, you know, this album is full of the bad versions of older songs, and on what I said earlier was my favorite EP of theirs. They had a song called "The Stalker," and it was full of like similar things to this, but that song was written because Violent J was dealing with his girlfriend being stalked at the time, and he basically decided to write a song from that dude's perspective, and in no way painting it like it was a cool thing to do.
right?
But this song is where it's like, yeah, I didn't make it through this album the first time I listened to it years ago when it came out. That's how much I didn't like it.
Wow.
Yeah.
And here we are.
So like, I didn't get to this song. So this one, it was very new for me, and I just, there's parts where I'm just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and it's like, if it's, you know, if they're playing characters, I get it, but there's not much like, it's just them doing it. They stalk these women and like, and then they run away, and
there's no nuance. I mean, these guys aren't known for nuance in general, and so they were gonna try to claim that there was anything more like deeper to this, then you don't really have anything to stand on. I'm sorry, Mike. Say what you were gonna say.
Well, I feel like they can tell a good story though, and it's this one's baffling because they don't, and it's a fucked up story they're telling that like doesn't have like a satisfying ending.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah, there's no skin at the end where they like
just
pull
like Predators.
pull themselves.
After they're doing a song to catch a predator, they make a song about predators getting away with it.
Right, exactly.
But they can tell a good story, and I know that from the song preceding this, "I Found a Body," which is my favorite song on the album.
That's your favorite song on the album?
Oh, okay.
I don't know about that.
Oh my god, it's fucking great.
I mean, it's hilarious.
He finds a dead body in the street,
and
he takes it home, feeds it pizza rolls, takes it to Target, watches a movie with it, takes it to a park, and then like...
It's true. It is really funny.
Because he's so lonely and he needs a friend, and he sprays it with Axe, you know, and but then he realizes like he gets jumped by some guys, and the dead body doesn't help him, and he realizes that it's not really his homie. But,
no!
He's still. And it's a great story.
It's heartbreaking.
It's an insane story, and it's like no one else is doing it. This is.
It's certainly not, because does it need to be? Was this a story that needed to be told?
I think this would be a great horror movie comedy.
I think it's very. It is. Yeah, you're.
I mean,
you're right.
It's very Weekend at Bernie's, except he doesn't know.
Yeah.
Well, there's multiple instances of corpses being involved in situations in which they should not be involved in this album.
So there's two songs that this is a worse version of combined. One is called "I Didn't Mean to Kill Him," and the other one is called "Toxic Love." And I just wanted to state that.
Did they find a dead body in the street and feed it pizza rolls in either of those songs?
I mean, look, like, I'm not gonna give any spoilers, man.
Because that was
we're not going that far down the fucking rabbit hole,
exactly.
dude. Like we're not gonna do it. Like I'm not
saying you. I'm just saying maybe some of our listeners. Maybe, who knows?
But yeah, it was definitely a weird juxtaposition going from "I Found a Body"
to a juxtaposition.
So this is a great story. There's a lot of nuance to "I Found a Body."
We went to Clark Park. It's my favorite place. Had to shoot the birds off, picking at his face. Then we took a bike ride. He rode the handlebars, stopped and had some ice cream. He started acting hard. He is a corpse. He is a dead body. That's
the joke. He like rigor mortis. He's acting hard.
Funny. Yeah. I know. It's adorable.
And it would be.
I would say there are more songs than not on this album are downright adorable.
Yeah.
They are corny.
They're so corny.
They are very corny.
And
they are very cheesy, and they're dumb. But they're also seemingly pretty fucking self-aware, which I don't know how self-aware, because you're also identifying the fact that you've met them and they're also just very dumb.
Yeah.
So when we get into Miracles, that's the one that I really have questions about.
Oh, yeah.
And I have a lot to say about Miracles.
I can't wait.
Worry.
So should we move on to the next two, to Fawn's Pond and Kill You?
Fawn's Pond and I'ma Kill You.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I'ma Kill You. I'ma Kill You. All right. Here we go.
Fawn's Pond.
Fawn's Pond.
Some don't believe and dare to swim. Something under will pull you in. Hidden deep in the wild brush. If you know where it is, then hush.
kill you.
I'm hurting you. Run your ass, better run your ass. I'm hurting you. I'ma fucking kill you. I say beat, you say that ass. Beat that ass. Beat that ass. I say beat, you say that ass.
And run this.
That is such an old school, like, House of Pain. Like, it takes two to make a thing. Like, this is
Yes,
like...
that was House of Pain, and then Fawn's Pond was Funky Cold Medina by Tone Loc.
Yes!
And Funky Cold Medina, except it's about Camp Crystal Lake. Or Fawn's Pond, excuse me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was another very corpse-heavy song. I wrote, when all you have's a hatchet, all the world's problems look like corpses.
I will admit I'm starting to get annoyed at this point in the album.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, I don't know. I feel like, I don't know. I'ma Kill You might be my least favorite song on the album. Even though it's about killing bigots and child abusers again, which they're like, they're killing the right people.
Which I asked the important question here, are the Juggalos Antifa?
Squallie.
Squallie, weigh in.
No.
But Juggalos are comrades, right?
They literally have the lyrics in I'ma Kill You, racist bigot, you dirty demon, dig your eyes out while you screamin', drive your head into the concrete, use your forehead to paint the street.
Yeah.
That sounds like punching Nazis to me.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and it was, it was this whole thing when the Juggalo March happened the same day as the Trump rally, and a lot of people weren't aware that the Juggalo March had been scheduled for over a year, and like they had been building up to this thing.
Yeah.
And a lot of people didn't hear about it until they found out there was a Trump rally the same day, and a lot of people thought that we were like frontlining for them.
Yeah.
Like, hey, no, you know what, guys, we don't have to. We don't have to. There
was a face turn. There was a face turn for the Juggalos, I think, in the common consciousness, because everybody was like, "Oh my God, the Juggalos are out protesting against Trump."
Yeah, and it was literally like, "Hey guys, we could just sit back, like let the fucking Juggalos like fucking take care of it." And I was
Which is hilarious.
It is hilarious, but I was also like, "No, that's not what it's about. We're not your front line. We're doing this for a whole different reason."
But then that's a whole nother problem, because I'm going to say that, like, I think, when we talk about some of the, like, concepts in the album and, like, the ICP mythology of, like, this, like, class, like, working class, like, rebellion and, like, this sense of, like, we're the freaks, we're the outcasts of society, why haven't the Juggalos been more, like, outspoken about, like, being an ally in, like, Black Lives Matter and, like, the Black Lives Matter movement, or, like, being an ally in, like, anti-Trump protests?
Yeah,
and, like,
because
that seems like an awesome opportunity for them to actually walk their talk, for that particular protest. The fact that people did conflate that, maybe that was an incorrect conflation, but at the same time, that seems like a real important opportunity to be like, what, we are fucking down. We've been labeled a gang. We've been labeled a terrorist organization, and we have that in common, and also a lot of us have white privilege and being able to, like, not be necessarily terrified of being killed by police, so let's team up. That feels like a missed opportunity to me.
So I will say I didn't end up going to the march, but I watched like a bunch of live streams, and I had a bunch of friends who went, and it still was about the FBI gang labeling, because that's what it had always been about, but there were a lot of Juggalos carrying like "fuck Trump" signs and just like shit like that. Like it was, But the thing was,
in terms of Black Lives Matter, though,
Black Lives Matter. You know what? I haven't seen a lot of outreach to like any like specific like organization that's against Trump or against racism. It seems to be just us. Like
that seems to be a missed opopportunity. That's like a shame.
I'm not going to deny that. I think it would be cool, but I think a lot of the same problems that some people who might have supported Trump like would see with if they're like I really don't like that thing, but these guys are also against like everything else that I'm for. I see that a lot, because there is, and not really with the Juggalos I hang out with or anything, but there still is in the community a lot of like, we're still alone, it's still just us, and
that's like again, like, okay, and I guess, is it unfair to expect Juggalos to be political activists or politically active in any way? But I think if you're going out and marching because you've been identified as a gang,
there's an opportunity.
There's a huge opportunity.
Compared to other outlets for like working class white men. Like, I feel like this one's
could
a lot.
Be one of the healthiest.
The Juggalo movement is a lot more inclusive and a lot more like politically aware and open-minded than a lot of other avenues that they could take.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. But it, you know, again.
So get it together, Juggalos.
Okay.
We're so close.
But it's okay. We have utopias like
I still think
Juggalo
Juggalos are comrades.
Island. I don't know. I'm questioning that because they all want to stick their heads in the sand on Juggalo Island. And this one is
got him.
fun. All right, so we're gonna play Juggalo Island, and then right after that will be Vultures.
Run and see, do no cops. Unless they're pouring up shots. Unless they're helping us smoke these crops. Surfing on the big one, having big fun. Fucking with a big fat one under the sun. Letting them hang, doing our thing. Listen to them up and down the beach, everybody sang. On Juggalo Island. We can be one. Let us sing by the wall. On Juggalo Island. We can have fun. You lash out at the poor and tell them to give you more. Sell everything up for the church. Sleep on the floor. You point the juiciest snacks out to all the vampires. But lurking in the dark, you might get bit by spiders.
Lizards and bugs, flies and mosquitoes, hookers with drugs and dirty ass needles, alleyway cats, possums and rats, killers with cats, attacking with bats. They scums, bumps, as anything comes and goes. They
That song's great. That song's great. That's like they're doing like an Outcast flow on that.
Yeah.
It starts though with a skit where it ends with "Eat a bowl of poop, bitch." Because it's like he gets pulled over by a cop. Probably an accurate representation of a white dude getting pulled over by a cop. He gets pulled over by a cop and he's just basically like, "Yo, this shit's stolen. And I got this is a fake license." And he's got like a body in his trunk, and the cop's just like, "Well, okay, well, you know, be careful out there." I can't remember the exact wording, but like that was basically
you pretty much got it.
Yeah, that was it. I like that all of their song titles tell you exactly what that song is about. Like, again, there's like no like hidden meanings. Like Vultures, it's about like vultures. It's about
well, it's
like,
not about actual
blood
animals,
sucking.
It's about like
scum. That like
it's about rich folks and like pastors and people who take advantage of the
Christian,
poor
like
and
charlatans.
suck money out of them.
Yeah, they do in
Trick
this
people out of their money.
in the lyrics do call old people quote elderly feeblos.
Vultures is not my favorite song on this album, but that is my favorite line on this album.
It's elderly
feeblos.
Feeblos.
Because adding like Jugga or a low to like random
olds.
Yeah, but like adding like just like making puns off of the word Juggalo has been something that Juggalos have done for a long time, but ICP never really caught on to until this.
Elderly feeblos. That's fucking hysterical.
But yeah, let's jump back to Juggalo Island real quick.
Yeah, before we get it. You mean Gullah Gullah Juggalo Island?
No, what the fuck? This is so dumb.
Gullah Gullah Juggalo Island.
This is like...
It is corny as fuck and yet so, like, shockingly genuine.
It's a children's album again.
Yeah.
A Juggalo Island would be cool, though, right?
No, I want, like, a fire festival, like, Juggalo Island, like, disaster movie. That's what I want more than anything else. I don't
want that to happen to Violent J and Shaggy 2, though.
I do. It would be hilarious.
Come on, you want them to endanger the lives of their fans and then go to prison?
I do. I think it's funny.
Well, I just want them to go on an island where they can party and do all this fun stuff they talk about in this song.
I got my dick in your hot dog bun. Like that, like that.
Yeah. Well, we've covered that dick in the hot dog bun part.
Well, this was from that song, so...
I am annoyed at this point in the album for sure. Like, but it's not. I'm not mad at them or anything. But I just feel when I heard Juggalo Island, I started feeling like maybe it's time to wrap it up.
Yeah, I mean this is a very cheesy song.
It's also
fun.
I don't know. I didn't need to hear like a LFO Sugar Ray ICP.
Yeah, this was like the most Smash Mouthy. There were definitely, and that's like one of the big jokes. It's like Violent J looks so much like
Guy Fieri. And Smash Mouth.
But like this does sound like a Smash Mouth song.
No,
and I haven't seen them in the same.
I have not seen them in the same room.
Yeah, neither have I. So yeah, you brought up Homies earlier, and after Homies was such a big success with like making Juggalos feel like like it was a song like praising the Juggalos and being like, this is our world, like da da da. They just continuously like try to recreate that song, and it gets cheesier and worse every time. Every time. And this was like this. Oh man,
Juggalo
this song.
Island.
Yeah, this song is wild.
This song. The thing was, this song in Miracles, because after Miracles, they made a music video for this song, and so this became another part of like not as big as Miracles as a meme, but like this was another song in the public conscious. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, oh my god, guys.
Yeah, they made a music video for it and everything.
Like,
it was
stop.
all green screen too. Like
Yeah.
every single video that they put out for the shit was just like them in front of a green screen. Like
Honestly, I think they just found out what green screen was. Like at that moment, they were like, "Shit, we don't have to go anywhere. We can do this right in the office."
yeah, it is ostentatious and ridiculous
Yep.
and completely over the top.
Yeah.
And so self-indulgent.
Uh-huh.
And maybe I'm into it.
Yeah, I liked Vultures.
Vultures in particular.
liked
I mean,
that
the whole
verse.
storyline is for the whole story is that all the evil people in the world get summoned to death in this elaborate, like, multi-part Robin Hood comic book revenge fantasy.
Yeah.
And how can you not like identify with that?
I
you
love
know?
the verse in Vultures where it's like the family like standing at the bedside of like their dying relative that they just all want his inheritance, and they're like talking about it through rap.
Yeah.
And it's like musical theater.
Yeah, it is very musical theater. It is
That
so
is
over
that is
the
another
top.
thing I've heard about their shows. That was actually what my girlfriend said when we were heading home from the show that she did not like. She was like, "I hope they all know that they just watch musical theater." And I'm like, "They don't, but yes, it is." Yes.
I mean, that's like wrestling is theater plus
Yeah.
gymnastics.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think I'm impressed by the vision behind shit like Vultures and the whole overarching like plot of this album and their whole mythology of the Joker cards and all that shit. It's an impressive like vision, you know, even though it's when you break down the lyrics,
it's
super
stupid.
dumb.
It's so
But like
dumb.
on a micro scale, it's dumb and corny. But on a macro scale, it's like it's very impressive. I don't know.
I would not say very.
Come on, the Gathering of the Juggalos. What other artist has made a Gathering of the Juggalos?
That's
like, you know,
or like gathering of their own. Yeah, I mean
like, there's
that's
like-
actually very
like
true.
Fish
there was
does it,
Ozfest.
but that's so much
There's
lamer.
like Ozfest.
Yeah,
There's
but
like,
Ozfest is a traveling thing. Like all these other things
Yeah,
are
the
traveling
Gathering
things.
of the
They made a
Juggalos-
gathering that is Woodstock just for Juggalos.
it's
Yeah.
wild with
And-
like some great music, like great artists.
And sometimes they like really fuck up, and they you know have somebody come out, and then they're just like, just don't go out there. And then they go out there, and then Bubba Sparks gets a condom full of pee thrown at him, and like
Tila Tequila.
tequila. That was
Yep.
rough.
Ooh.
That was
But
very
she's
rough.
also a Nazi.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
like, but it was literally like, I mean, according to Violent J, he was like, look, do not go out there. They're really pissed. And she was like, fuck that, I'm gonna go out there. And then, yeah.
All right. Well,
'Cause
speaking
MySpace.
of being overwrought, overindulgent, totally ridiculous and over the top, ostentatious and potentially brilliant, let's listen to Vera Lee on its own.
Yeah, let's
'Cause
just do
this
the
is-
last three on their own, I think.
Yeah.
So it's a Juggalo love.
It's a Juggalo love
But it's
song.
not. It's like about the one that got out, your high school crush that got away. It's like,
And
and
it's
it wasn't
very
even a high
tender.
school crush. It was literally somebody that he maybe said 2 words to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's a high school crush.
It goes on like that for like
It's-
2 minutes
yeah,
at the
It's
end
a
of the song.
long
It's just
song.
shouting.
And that's my favorite song on the album.
That's your favorite.
That's my favorite song on the
Wow.
album.
That's the best one?
For me, yes.
How come?
Okay, why? Yeah.
It's
Justify.
I think my favorite thing that Violent J does is he writes these like tortured like middle school, high school love songs about dead people or like girls who died like while he
Really?
was like
So
And
there's
it's-
other songs like this.
yeah, there's other songs. There's one called Amy in the Attic.
What?
That's like really good, and like and it's just, and he just, it's this weird thing. Like he can bring this whole mood to it. Like again, the lyrics are never genius. You know, it's.
But there is a mood. There is
there's a
emotion
mood,
in the
and
song.
he
There's
pulls it
emotion
off.
in the song.
He pulls it off so well. The only thing I hate is it never comes across good live, and like I'm like excited because again those are like my favorite songs that he does, like Amy's in the Attic, Prom Queen, like stuff like that, and then he'll do them live and I'm like so excited, and then halfway through and I'm like skip to a hype song like fucking now, just because he's just standing
because
there.
he's just standing there for 2 minutes saying why.
Yeah, exactly. And I get it, he needs to catch his breath, but like
yeah, I mean that one was surprising. Also, I didn't know that was a motif.
Yeah.
Why do you think he does that? Why are the songs about the girls he went to high school with who died?
I mean, I think honestly, again, it's just one of those things where like it worked
just
so well
one
once.
Of those things.
It's just one of those things. But just like I don't know, it really it's just something that always catches me on every album though. That's like all I can really say. It's something he does where he falls in love with ghost girls and like that's it.
What's that about? He should, if he's not in therapy, that should be topic number 1. Verily and
therapy also rhymes with verily.
Yeah,
so.
That's true. It's a message from
the great Malenko.
It's a message from Bang Pow Boom himself.
All right. Should we move into this? Is by far the most well-known, notorious song of ICP's entire career. Certainly of this album, but definitely it thrusts them into the mainstream in a beyond already selling platinum and gold albums, but still never quite cracking into the mainstream consciousness. This was a huge meme in 2010. It spawned multiple parodies, including a really hilarious one on SNL.
Everyone knows. Just play the song.
All right.
It's fucking miracles.
All a feeling and it fills the room from the floor to the ceiling.
I see miracles all around me. Stop and look around, it's all astounding.
Water, fire, air, and dirt.
Fucking magnets, how do they work? And I don't wanna talk to a scientist. Y'all motherfuckers lying and getting me pissed.
All right, so Venn diagram between Juggalos and flat earthers, go.
I mean, it's way less of one circle than you think. I mean, there's definitely yes. Again, I'm not going to deny we are a very large subculture. There are people with many different ideas, and the one thing that brings us together is we like ICP and cheap soda. But like, it's just
okay.
What is there to say about this song?
Second question: magnets. How do they work?
Okay, so this is something I've been bringing up to people since this song went viral and ruined everything, which I'm going to get into right after this. I often ask people without Google, can you tell me exactly how magnets work right now?
Right, that's what I was going to say.
I mean, it's something to do with, a higher concentration of electrons or protons on on opposite sides, and it's a pole.
Okay, that's
all right. So you just wrote that answer on your test. How many points out of 10 does your teacher give you for that response?
All I'm saying is that is the best description I've gotten out of all the times asking that, because people are just like, they just do, and I'm like, how are you smarter?
It's like one has like
that's
a higher
still like a 4 out of
like,
10 on
no,
test.
I would say, all right, I'm Googling how magnets work.
No, come on.
I said without Google.
There's so many other
now
lines.
I'm going to find out.
This song is so hilarious. I always wondered, did
the
ICP...
North pole of one magnet attracts the South pole, so I said poles of a second magnet, while the North pole of one magnet repels the other magnet's North pole.
All right, great. So here's what I've always wondered about this song. Did ICP, could they have predicted what this song would be? Like, did they know what the response was going to be when they put this out into the world?
Not.
They didn't think,
was it a
this
savvy
is a
business move, or was this dumb luck?
This was dumb luck. It's really like, here's the thing, man. Like, I hate like saying shit like this because I am also a high school dropout, but they were practically elementary school dropouts. They really just did not go to school a lot and did not pay attention and spent more time like getting into fights and shit. Like, and really, it's just a lot of things. They're just like, what the fuck? And like at one point after this whole thing happened, where everybody knew about this song, ICP actually tweeted. Violent J was like, my daughter came home from 4th grade today and told me how magnets work. I guess I must have missed that day. So But this song, this song, the
God.
magnets thing, and fucking rainbows after it rains and all that shit. This song, I blame entirely for Juggalos being on the FBI gang list.
Oh, okay. Let's
go on.
go. Yep, go right ahead.
Because as you guys have said multiple times, that this song brought ICP back into the public conscious. Like, we just everybody thought that it had died off with the rest of nu metal, which again, nu metal is also very much alive. Just check the fucking Live Nation listings, man. They're out there.
It's true.
But I just, it really, like, we were really just kind of forgotten about, and people would be all like, oh yeah, I downloaded one of their funny songs off of fucking LimeWire and shit, and like that's what they think, or like I dated a Juggalo in high school or something. But like, this brought us back into the conscious, like public conscious, and I think it was that attention that even made it possible for like the FBI to be like, this is a group of dangerous people, and not because of the song, but I think obviously the song does not make us sound dangerous,
but it put like, the Juggalos back under the microscope.
Yes.
But was there also like a crime that occurred around the same time?
No, that was way earlier. That was way earlier, and it was really fucked up. And they it was in New Bedford, Massachusetts. A guy like broke into a gay bar and hatcheted people to fucking death.
Oh my God.
And had like swastika tattoos and shit. He was a Nazi, and like also listened to ICP, and basically ICP was like, well, he obviously like could never have been a real Juggalo.
Yeah, he obviously didn't pay attention.
Because we hate bigots and racists and fuck that shit, basically. But besides that, I mean, it is really fascinating, like trying to figure out how the Juggalos could have ever been put on any kind of list, because they're just marveling about dirt.
Yeah. I mean, like every subculture seems to have at one point like a point where like the news and the government and the media like demonizes them like really bad. With the exception of I think I might have saw one news special about how emos were gonna destroy the world, but like and that's what they called them, emos, that's why I said that. But like it's I
remember that.
And it's literally about like punks, goths, like when people thought that the kids who did Columbine were nerds and got picked on until they found out that they were the actual bullies, but it was the way that the news painted them, and it's like,
wait, didn't you realize that what the Parkland shooting survivors should have done was like befriend the Nazi who killed their friends?
Absolutely, they should have.
Yeah.
Because let me tell you something, when that happened to me in middle school, when everybody started being nice to me after Columbine, it really made me not hate them.
Yep. It is a miracle that we're just there in the air. I mean, this is the most earnest, fucking whimsical, precious, angelic little anthem.
I can't believe that they made that fucking music video with it, though. Like,
so ridiculous.
They have to have known a little bit, like, people.
It was just them on a green
laugh at us for this. But it's gonna get attention.
They had to.
No,
it was 2010.
Yeah, and they're
the internet
still stuck in the 90s.
Yes, that is true. I definitely noticed that. I noted that throughout the whole, album.
Because the first time I met them, they actually asked me to solve an argument for them. They were arguing over whether the 90s really was the best decade, or they just thought it was the best decade because it was when they were the shit. And I was like, and they were like, you probably thought like 2001 to like 2010 was the shit because that was the age where you like had you were like 18 to like mid 20s, blah blah blah. And I was like, and to be honest, those were the years that I was like locked up and in psych wards and shit. So I'm also stuck in the 90s, and that's probably why I love you guys so much.
Yeah,
but,
and like the if you think about the Attitude Era of WWE, Eminem when Eminem was good, even like we've talked about this. Like, I'm not afraid to like say that Rollin' and like Break Stuff by Limp Bizkit are like good songs.
Yeah,
like,
they are.
They are good songs. Like, they're good songs.
Rearranged is a great song.
Yeah, that's an awesome fucking song.
We could do it just a whole pro Limp Bizkit episode of this show.
I know.
Where we just cape for Limp Bizkit the entire time.
I'm not ready to commit to that, but I will say that.
Someone else do this Limp Bizkit podcast with me, please. Hit me up. Tweet at me.
The 90s were when The Simpsons were good. The 90s were when like arcades still existed, and like things seemed
and there were a lot
affordable.
Of good...
You could go to like a public college, and
there was great music.
And there was great music, great fashion.
You're right. They are stuck in the 90s, but they're referencing good 90s shit. Like the beats sometimes have elements of like
House of Pain,
or like NWA, like big beat, like Chemical Brothers shit sometimes. And the flows recall, like I said, like Outkast and like Tone Loc and Ice Cube, and like I don't know. I mean, it's very. I know. I can't believe how much I love this. I love this album.
And that's the true miracle here today, Stoppies.
Yeah, and it's just like
you understand and recognize miracles that Mike Dunn could be a juggalo.
Something's happening.
Something's happening.
Because
oh my
seriously,
God.
like next time they're around, I will buy you guys tickets.
Just
come to the show and just like fucking and just observe if that's all you want to do. Because that's what most of my friends do when I bring them. Just it's really just an experience. Like
you heard it here first, folks.
Ready to go.
Stoppies, we're going to the ICP show. Catch us at the next ICP show.
All right, we got one more song to get through.
We got two more technically.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
But this is the proper album closer.
This is the album closer. This is the title track, Bang Pow Boom.
Horny freaks, shady ladies, evil Ernie's, witchy Ricks, and Charlie Chiefs. Bang pow boom. They say the show is the bomb. I heard it straight up explosive, some even call it napalm. Nobody battles back, this ain't no kind of war. It's a one-way execution. Blow you straight the hell through the floor. What the fuck you think you here for? Sound the alarm. Ladies and gentlemen, meet shit and die. Let's bring them on with the bang.
Okay, so that's Time Bomb by Rancid. Just saying.
I love that. I love Time Bomb by Rancid. That's one of the best Rancid songs.
And I also love that song. It sounds like an old school Rancid. or like a mid-school, newish school Rancid.
I liked that song too. It was long. It's like 5.5 minutes long, 6 minutes long, but. Yeah, it's a nice wrap up to the storyline of the album. All the pedophiles and abusers, they got the phone calls. They go to the Dark Carnival, and what do they get? Bang, boom, bang, pow, boom. Who is a dude or a destructive god force, or perhaps God himself? He kills them horrifically. Who is Bang, pow, boom?
So all the other Joker's Card albums had like the Joker's Cards had like very specific like character traits and it was very like well like explained in the liner notes like who they are, what they were, how they judged you, like blah 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 blah. Bang Pow Boom is just literally like we took you to this carnival and this clown came up and exploded.
Yeah.
there's no story about
that's what happens.
Yeah, there's no like Amazing Jekyll Brothers are like two flames that like juggle your soul, and if it's too heavy it falls, and like the album opens with a shitty guy going into a fucking an antique store and buying the candles and lighting them and like all this shit. This is just literally their clown friend that shows up in all of their little skits on all their albums.
So I get it. So this is like the weakest storyline.
This is the weakest storyline. It's the beginner, like again,
the Great
Fisher Price.
Mullet Down.
I gotta check out those other stories.
It is the Great Mullet Down.
I mean, they do have some great lyrics in this. Racist bigots, wife beaters, judges, and cowards all crowded together expecting a show and some dollars. But instead, the shit you're going to see, you'll fear it in hell. It's a constant explosion. See and feel it, you shall. Because it's literally a clown exploding.
It's a clown exploding.
On a, like, Rancid Time Bomb beat and, like, all of these...
For 6
like,
minutes.
Asshole... Yeah, it was... I definitely wrote my notes where I'm absolutely not listening to this for 13 minutes, which I realized it was that this went on for 6 minutes. I did not finish the 6 minutes of this, and then that there was a bonus track at the end, which is fucking hilarious. It's so funny. Chop chop slide. All right, here we go.
Not bad. But some of y'all just need to loosen up. Just loosen up. I know everybody has their own little dance they like to do, their own little personal get jiggy move. We're gonna bust it right now. Get loose, y'all.
Get loose. Get
juggalos. But some of y'all still got rigor mortis. We need to loosen on up.
Another corpse reference.
Kind of way. Come on.
Rigor mortis.
Get loose. Rigor mortis.
It's the Juggalo Cha-Cha. It's the Chop Chop slide. I get it.
There it is.
Have they done this before?
It kind of. They did a 20-minute version of
Stop it.
of
Just strike that from the record.
of two shorts.
Freaky Tales.
Freaky Tales. They did a 20-minute version of Freaky Tales, and it is ridiculous. It is so, and yeah, they will do this with like old school hip hop songs.
I mean, this
like,
again, it goes to this like kind of like cheesy like bat mitzvah like kind of.
Yeah, it's still a children's album. It's still Hulk
a children's
Rules.
album,
but
it's way better than. It's definitely way better than Hulk Rules. I mean, you can't, There's no question.
It's definitely better than Hulk Rules.
The
no
beats,
offense to
like,
Mouth the Heart, South Jimmy Hart.
I feel like this is a good time to like summarize this. Like the beats are actually really pretty strong, and they experiment. They experiment with it. They do like the kind of like hard industrial kind of techno-y spooky horrorcore shit. Mm-hmm. They do some punk shit. They do some like surf rock shit. They do straight up like gangsta rap. Some like weird fucking like musical theater. Mm-hmm. And then this is like a Rancid song. Like I don't know. It's interesting. Yeah. It's like very interesting. And
should we rate it?
I mean, altogether, the lyrics are not smart. The archetypes are very surface level. They're very unsubtle, and yet I had fun. Listening to this album, and Same. I can imagine myself having fun. I had
so much fun
at a show.
Yeah, it's so much more fun than fucking Revival, man.
Yeah,
this is like a Chucky movie. Like I said, like it's horror comedy, and Eminem's Revival is like the Human Centipede, where it's just like,
oh my god, that is so fucking right.
It's too much. It's just
literally
gross
head
for
up
the sake
his
of
own
being
ass.
Gross, and he's just eating shit.
All right, so Eminem is Human Centipede now. Is that what?
Yeah, I think that's what we figured
you heard
out.
It here first. Yeah, let's rate this album though. So
our guest Squallie Greenthumb. It's your opportunity to choose a quantifier by which we judge this album, as we always do on the show. We give something a 0 to a -5 of something that is relevant to the album. So, what is going to be our quantifier for this album? And you can go right ahead and give your rating.
I mean, I think it has to be Rainbows After It Rains. Fucking Rainbows After It Rains.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
It's literally, that's the only thing I can think of, and I'm gonna tell you guys, like, so just a little bit back to Miracles. When people would bring that song up to me, I would inform them that they had listened to it more times than I had. I did not make it through this album when I first heard it. I was very much like out of the Juggalo scene and more focused on the Boston punk scene, and like I still checked in, but if like the album just didn't grab me and I just wasn't in the mood for it, I guess, when I listened to it, so I never got all the way to Miracles. So everybody else had heard it a million times and I had never fucking heard it. I spent the past week listening to this every day, and the first 2 days I had to like stop in the middle, but like I've listened to it 3 times today. It's my least favorite record by one of my favorite groups in the world, but they're still one of my favorite groups in the world.
Yeah.
So I have to give it 0 Rainbows After It Rains.
Wow.
Thank you for that.
Thanks.
Thank you for that.
Wow.
Well, you heard it here.
I give this album 0 Rainbows After It Rains. I like this album. I like more than half the songs on this album. This is the only album I've ever listened to on the show that made me smile this much.
I know.
This album is fun. It's great. I'm a Juggalo now, and if I could give this out higher than a 0, I would.
Listen, I am not ready to go on the record and say that I'm a Juggalo. I am not even ready to go on the record and say this album was good. This is still a bad album. It's a bad album by a band that is hilariously obtuse and absurd and like corny as fuck, but genuinely entertaining. And similar to Mike Dunn, there have been so many albums where I've been like actively depressed for like weeks following like listening to the album, and like I genuinely laughed and smiled multiple times over the course of listening to this album. I enjoyed it. I would go to a show. And so I'll give it... What did we give Kevin Federline?
You gave Kevin Federline a 0.
A true neutral? All right, well then I give ICP a 0.5. 0.5. The highest rating that's ever been given on this show before.
Oh, by far the best album I've ever listened to.
The best album.
This beats Kevin Federline.
For sure.
I mean, I don't love every song. I got annoyed. I think if you cut it in half, maybe, it would be a great album.
But that's the thing. Yeah, well, I don't know about. Let's be careful with our adjectives here.
Come on.
But I do feel, I feel like maybe we blew our load with good music, and we definitely blew our load with Broken Side. Like, and actually, that's like an interesting thing to compare. Like how Broken Side got negative 7,000 or whatever, and ICP got a 0.5. How did that happen?
ICP's got better hooks.
Yeah.
They got better hooks, and they don't auto-tune. They actually sing.
True.
And they have better rhymes, and they're less misogynistic than Broken Side somehow, while still being super misogynistic.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe we're just desensitized because it's episode 14.
Heather. Yes, we are desensitized, and I mean, I don't think I would have given this album a 0 if it was the first album we reviewed, but I don't know. I've listened to so much bad music at this point, and I feel like this show has taken so much out of me. And I feel like this ICP album, Bang Pow Boom, Bang Boom Pow, Bang Pow Boom, just put a little bit back. I just gained a little bit back, you know?
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing. It's a miracle.
Do you understand and recognize miracle stoppies? We are all juggalos now. Let's thank our incredible guest, Squallie Greenthumb, for being on the show with us. Thank you.
No problem.
You're great. Can you tell us anything that you got coming up or things that we should be looking out for? You have a newish album.
Yeah, I have an EP I released earlier this month. It's with my new band called the Squallie Seltzer Orchestra. I put this band together because my girlfriend doesn't drink enough water, and I needed to write a song to tell her that I don't want her dehydrated. And it stemmed into a full EP somehow. I've been in music for like 11 years, and I hate it when people who've been around for a long time say this is the best thing I've ever done, but it literally is, and it's not because of me, it's because of the wonderful artists I had on it. So you can check it out. The EP is called Dehydrated. It's at seltzerorchestra.bandcamp.com. And also, if you are listening to this and you are a juggalo, or listening to the clips from these songs got you interested in juggalo music, I also, if you go to squallygreenthumb.com, it has my entire like hip hop career on it that I started because I couldn't get out of bed because of sciatica, and I was really stoned, so I started rapping. And so yeah, if you want to check that out, but like honestly, if you thought that it was terrible, check out Seltzer Orchestra because it's legitimately good music.
Awesome. That was great. You sold me, Squallie. So thank you to Squallie for being on the show. We are going to be back next week with Hugh Beckett of Power Slut and Muck and the Myers. We're going to be reviewing Kiss, music from The Elder. After that, we're going to be having it's going to be a family affair with Alex Dunn, Mike Dunn's brother, coming in to review Kid Cudi's Speedin' Bullet to Heaven. So if you haven't already, please like and subscribe to us on iTunes. We are Make It Stop the podcast. We have a website, www.makeitstoppodcast.com. We are on Twitter. I think we gained 2 followers or something since last week. So
I think we gained 2, lost 1. We gained 1.
Well, we're fine.
We had a net of 1.
We're at Make It Stop Cast. We're on Podbean at makeitstopcast.podbean.com, and you can, I guess, email us if you want to, makeitstoppodcast@gmail.com. I suppose.
Yeah. I hope that even if this podcast gets wildly popular, that no one ever follows us on Twitter, and
Please
that meme
don't.
just persists, and we get to still talk about how we have like 19 followers.
Yep.
We're top of the charts.
Wow, we're at 19.
Just block everybody that follows you after 20.
We don't want you.
All right, stoppies. That's it. We'll see you next time on Make It Stop. Bad music. Good times.
Oh, we never did the tagline.